the pride of Central New York, Mr. Dan Cummings.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. You know, I've double-spaced this, and it's short, and I'm going to read it, and it's a large copy. So bear with me. That was tough. Angie, Irv, Craig, Bob, congratulations. Something you may not have noticed, not just Craig, but of the 5 inductees here today, 2 of us got our start at SUNY Geneseo. Craig and me. Craig, yeah. That's 2 out of 5, not a bad percentage. Maybe they'll name a building after us up there. What do you think? The Harris-Cummings Broadcasting Building. Anyway, upstate, Geneseo. Google it. You got to keep going after Sydney, and you'll run into Geneseo. Look, I am so very, very proud. And I'm very, very grateful. And thank you to the Broadcasters Association for this great honor. To be standing here today is something that chubby little kid you saw in the video never would have dared to dream of. I never dreamed of being on TV at all. My father had the network TV news on during dinner, but that was background noise for a kid like me. The dream was radio, and only radio at that time. My mom had the AM radio on in the kitchen always. I had my little transistor with a single earphone in my ear all the time, day and night and day, the music, the news, the sports. And of course, after sunset, up there in King Ferry, we could get the big stations from down here in New York. All News Radio, WCBS, and Cousin Brucey on WABC. You know, I'm in the same Hall of Fame as Cousin Brucey is a charter member of this Hall of Fame. You know that. I'm in the same Hall of Fame as Cousin Brucey. I retired 2 years ago. He's still on the air every Saturday night on 77 WABC. You know, when my oldest brother, Tom, went off to college at radio and started doing campus radio, he'd bring me cardboard boxes home full of the old, unused AP and UPI wire copy, and I'd sit there on the edge of my bed, and I'd read it out loud, and I'd pretend, and I would dream. Better yet, he got me a high school summer job the next summer at WVBR at Cornell, playing records from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I couldn't say anything on the air. They wouldn't let me open the mic, but I was allowed to actually pick the music and play the records. Pretty heady stuff for a 15-year-old at that time, feeding his teenage dream. Well, in college, I made the pivot to news, and I never looked back. And now at 67, I get to look back on a 45-year career in broadcasting, 45 years of a dream come true. The first 8 years was in radio, and that's where I first learned to report and to write local news. I learned well because I was taught to do it really well, the right way. First by Bob and Marsha Lynch at WTKO in Ithaca, and then by the late, the great Bill Carey at 62 WHEN in Syracuse. And then at NewsChannel 9 later on, where I continued to learn from him after we were able to hire him away from the competition. You know, here I am in the Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and Bill Carey isn't yet. Something doesn't feel quite right to me about that. Maybe we can do something about it someday. But until then, Bill, I share this with you. I also want to share it with all of the people I've ever worked with and learned from, all of those 37 years at NewsChannel 9 in Syracuse, especially the people you never see, you never hear about, because they're on the other side of the camera. They're in a control room. They're in an edit suite or an edit bay, trying to make me look presentable, trying to make the TV stories, and they do. The stories we tell have impact by the way those stories look and the way they feel. People like Jack Esterbrook, who shot and edited not 1, but 2 Emmy Award-winning specials on our veterans. And by the way, he shot and edited 2 other specials before that won New York State Broadcasters Association Documentaries of the Year on Honor Flight. People like directors Jeff Mercer and Melissa Thorne, experts in all aspects of television production. And they're the people who have worked with me on the morning news all those years. They made it fun to get up in the middle of the night and be on the air at 4:30. People like Tim Fox, who preceded me on the air and behind the scenes at NewsChannel 9. He does it all, and he continues to do it all. Tim Fox is now into his 5th decade at News Channel 9. He shared his experience and his wisdom with me, and he always has. All of these people, like me, grew up in central New York, and they stuck around, and they're my friends, and they're with me here today. I also want to share this with my local managers who always kept the focus local on our stations over the years and kept me on the payroll too all those years. Teresa Underwood, who now runs a whole bunch of TV stations for Nexstar, GM Bill Evans, who is here today. They and those who came before them were patient with me, always supportive, and always gave me opportunity to grow. I share this with my family, Mom and Pop, for keeping the TV and the radio on, and for never discouraging any dream. You want to be a disc jockey, son? In Ithaca? Oh, okay, go for it. Sure. I share this with my siblings, Tom, Greg, and Molly, always there for me, always, from King Ferry to the present moment, even maybe when I wasn't always there for you guys all the time. Most of all, I share this with my wife and children. They're happy for me because they got a trip to New York today out of it, says, and the Rainbow Room. No, I could never, ever say enough about the love and the support that they have blessed me with, the pride and the joy. Especially in these last 14 years before I retired when I anchored the bleary-eyed morning news. Danielle, Anna, Jonah, I love you, and if there was a Hall of Fame for wives and children in it, finally, and isn't that the best word in any speech as time runs tight? Finally, I share this with my extended family, and I mean this. These are the listeners and the viewers, all of them, the people of Syracuse and all of central New York, into the Finger Lakes, the Mohawk Valley, into the Southern Tier, and into the North Country. So many of them allowed me to tell their stories over all those years. All of them welcomed me into their homes every day for so many years. They considered me like a member of their families. I know they did because they told me so, and they continue to tell me so today, even 2 years into retirement. They trusted me to keep them informed, and sometimes just to keep them company in all the ups and downs, all the tragedies and triumphs, all the highs and lows that make up any given news day, that make up anyone's life. And so I thank them, my extended family, for that trust and for that relationship. And I thank the New York State Broadcasters Association for this award. Thank you.
Dan Cummings, ladies and gentlemen.